It's been a long, long time. But if you tuning in, welcome to the Extraordinary Man Podcast. I am your host, Phil Jones, Mike Jones, however you guys know me personally, professionally. You guys know this extremely handsome dude with the Nerdy Nerds t-shirt on with the extremely cool rebrand on the polo. We ain't even waste no time, man. State your name.
M. Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
All right, all right. So it's been a minute since we went live, man. It's been a hell of a minute since we went live, man. Let's just talk about it. We didn't seen a lot, man. 2023 went out. I think that it was a pretty solid situation. 2024 came in with punch in the mouth. It wasn't even a bang. It was a seismic toss.
Yeah.
100 slap from what's his name? I can't remember his name. E Honda.
E Honda, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a crazy time.
The hardest DDT ever. Just bow right on the mat.
Man, so for those who hadn't seen us, hold on, I'm sorry. I know we live, but I'm getting text from the child.
Yeah. Me too. Like, hey, the equipment is arriving soon.
Shout out to that. Excuse me, but I'm a daddy, and I'm on daddy duty, and I got to do what a daddy got to do. Sometimes it's going to interfere with the stream a little bit, but that comes along with the territory. Outside of that,
parent should understand. So
if you're not a parent, man, get ready because one day it's gonna come and smack you in the face, and before you know it, they're gonna be this big, getting carried on your shoulder everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're gonna be eager to help you carry the groceries in the house.
Oh yeah.
And then they're gonna sit in front of one of these and forget you exist.
Mm-hmm. Just like in that order.
But man, all I can tell you is this, man. 2023 was a good year. You finally got a chance to come on down to Florida. For everybody who's able to catch those episodes, you finally made it down here to come and see how I'm living in these streets.
Mm-hmm.
In my hood, with the fountain in front of the door.
Man, I had a ball though, man. That was fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, obviously I wish we had more time. Of course, I wish that I was actually off during that period of time. But it is what it is. We will
airplane away.
Man, we're gonna get our get back soon enough. But that ain't what we came here to talk about today. We're 3 minutes in, and I don't want to waste no time. So for anybody that's tuning in right now, anybody who plans to tune in the near future, let's have this conversation. What are you willing to do to make it? First and foremost, what is it? Let's start there. You ever heard somebody tell you, "Oh man, you gonna make it, just keep it up"?
Mm-hmm. Cliche. Mm-hmm.
It's cookie cutter, but the reality of the situation is that if you don't know what my version of it is, how do you determine if I'm gonna make it or not?
I guess based off what you present, based off whatever talent or whatever idea, whatever you are showcasing, whatever you are providing to the public to be able to give them an opinion on, that is it.
So that's what it is. Because for me, I always looked at when somebody say, "Oh, you gonna make it," I always thought it was one of those things to where you don't really know what to say and you don't really care to ask. What is your end game goal? Like, you see somebody in the music, they rapping, they doing whatever it is. I guess you look at it from the perspective of, hey, whatever it is that you plan on doing with this, you keep at it and you're going to get it one day. And for the moment, that's inspirational. It feels good because I feel like you're getting some acknowledgement for all the hard work you're putting into doing something. And then you realize it's just like, most people don't know what it is. When you say you gonna make it, what is it? What does it look like? How do you quantify it?
I think a lot of times the individual that's trying to go get it don't even know the answers to those questions.
Well, that's my point. That's exactly my point, is the fact that if somebody is telling me that I'm going to make it in any regard, you're telling me that based off of a blind assumption that I already know where I plan on going with this. So whatever it is that I'm hoping to accomplish from this, you're saying this to me because you are trying to support whatever it is that I believe that I'm going to be doing. Now, here's how I look at it. As a man, as an individual, anything under the sun, I know for a fact that you're not going to get very far without a plan. You're just going to keep going through the hamster wheel because you don't have a destination in mind. First things first is you have to qualify what your dream is. What do you intend to accomplish? What is your goal? What is your mission? I've never seen a person who just throw darts at a wall that somehow I just made it big doing something and it all just worked out. What are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of times people, sometimes just hit a lucky streak, and they tend to blow up from there. Hit songs. Sometimes they're just lucky that they just happen to make a hit song. And again, and a lot of people don't know what the end game is, what the whole purpose of this is, what type of goals that I have in place. Like once I get to this milestone, what's going to be the next move. A lot of people just focused on what's in front of them right here, right now. And right here, right now, what's in front of me is I'm trying to make a hit song. And that's as far as it goes.
I truly feel like there's a lot of good opportunities that get missed quite often. They get missed for a very specific reason. One of those reasons I feel like is the lack of focus. I feel like another one of those reasons is because of the fact that we are trained to do, but we're not trained to think. So thinking is something that you acquire as you get older because you have to learn how to be less physical and more mental when it comes to how you acquire your resources.
Mhm.
Nobody really tells you, or at least nobody told me. I can't speak for everybody's upbringing, but nobody really told me that, hey, you need to use your youth to do all the physical stuff, to build the foundation. You need to use your physicality to start building that foundation so that once you get up in age and you're no longer able to perform that same level of physicality, that this tree that you planted will start bearing fruit off of it.
No, I was never told that either. And I definitely think that a lot of us don't or are not given that gym. Just that one gym alone could set us up, for a long journey ahead of us. We're not told that. And you're right. We are is programmed to just do, never really programmed to think. And once we get older, that's when we start to slowly start to get into this whole groove of, man, I want to get paid off my thoughts over my labor, and by that time you're probably already in your mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s before you really come to the realization of that, when you could have been given this gym years ago, back when you was 15, 16, 17.
You know, and I think that when the conversation of generational wealth comes into play, a lot of us focus more on the money than we are on the information. That the information I can give my kids about everything that I did wrong, about how to streamline something and what not going through with the process will do, I think that helps.
Mhm.
Another thing that I think that helps is always training your children to understand that the most valuable resource that they have is time. It's not money. Money is a tool. Money is a tool to help you do your time, and your time is going to be predicated off of your amount of resources that you have available to you. Understanding what resources
That
are.
you made and didn't make
You said what?
is also based off the decisions that you did and didn't make.
Mm-hmm. You know, so the title of this show is "What are you willing to do to get there?" I don't think that I know from my own personal experiences that mouth service always sounds good. Always. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to sit back and say, oh, well, if it was me, I'd do this. And if it was me, I'd do this. And if I had the opportunity, but you do have the opportunity. You have the
Mhm.
opportunity right now. Like the time that you're spending telling me what you would do if you were in position, it's time that you could be putting yourself in position. I think that where I have seen a lot of people fall off the wagon or fall off course is because you have to, it's like a muscle, right? It's an exercise. Success is an exercise. You have to get in the cadence of finishing what you start. You
It's
have
a
to be,
habit.
yeah, you have to build that thing up to where you are used to getting this far and stopping. Well, guess what? That becomes your habit. That becomes your normal. That you're going to get into stuff and then you're going to stop. You're going to get in, stop, get in, stop. That's what you're going to do. That's what you always do. There are some people that they understand this and they spend less time talking and more time doing. I notice that I make less phone calls when I'm busy. When I actually have something, excuse me, if I actually have something legitimately going on, I don't have a whole bunch of time for phone calls. I just
Mhm.
don't. Why? Because that phone call time, that hour that I would spend jaw jacking, is time that I would really need to be sitting down studying for this exam so I can finish this degree up. It's time that I need to be penning out this business idea, time that I should really be on the phone with the SBA or be on the phone with my mentor or be on the phone with so and so or such and such, my counselor, my this, my that, seeking out opportunities, putting myself in some sort of position to get things done. But instead, I'm on the phone talking to somebody who has just as little as me about absolutely nothing that's going to benefit either one of us.
Yeah, and I think that we fall into this groove of doing that is because again, mouth service, we it sounds good to say that you want to do something, that you want to achieve something, but you don't actually put in the actual work ethic and get the ball rolling. There's no momentum, there's no motion behind what you say that you want to do and achieve and accomplish. And so the jaw jacket on the phone basically almost feels like an excuse to not be on the phone with the SBA. This gives me an excuse to not talk to my mentor. This gives me this being on the phone, jaw jacking with a homie or significant other or whatever the situation is. It removes a level of accountability, and I'm talking to somebody else that ain't really necessarily doing anything either.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna break the secret right now. For those of you guys who have no idea how to acquire a mentor, I'm going to tell you the secret on how to acquire a mentor. Listen close now, because I'm only going to say it once today and then a million times in the future, but once today. First, you have to have a clear understanding of where you're trying to go. You want to get promoted at your job, not just start a business, but you want to start a business in a specific sector, in a specific industry. You want to know how to get into, you want to work for Boeing, you want to work for Lockheed Martin, you want to become an engineer, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to have a clear, defined understanding of what it is that you want to do. Then you want to contact Anybody who is in that field to find out what the barriers of entry are to get into that field. So if you want to get into Lockheed Martin, go to Lockheed Martin. Go there, ring the doorbell, go to the receptionist's office, ask to speak to somebody. Dress well, present yourself properly, have a copy of your resume just in case, and place yourself in a position where somebody can see who you are.
And know what you want to do.
But that's the first step. You have to have a clear, defined understanding of what you want to do, because now when I finally get somebody in front of me, and just because I get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 17, 18 no's means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Because eventually somebody is going to stop and say, who is this person that keeps coming around asking questions? Yo, come here. Let me talk to you. What's up? What are you trying to figure out? And you present yourself, your eagerness, your consistency, your daringness is going to get somebody to give you a chance. It may not be right out the gate. It may be a year. It may be whatever. But if you have a clear goal and a clear defined understanding of what you want to do, go into that direction. Go to the school and ask, what are the requirements for you to get a degree or a certification in said program? Go ask questions and build relationships with whomever you meet who can answer those questions.
You got to go to where the people are. You know what I'm saying? So if you want a Lambo, you have to go to where the Lambos are and ask questions on how to obtain this Lambo. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to come across a bunch of different walks of life that may be suitable for what it is that you're trying to do. Latch on to that person. See if they're willing to coach you, help you out. I mean, you have to go to the spot of what you want to achieve. If you want to produce the number one, let's say you want to produce your own Uber app. To your point, go to Lockheed Martin. If you want to produce an Uber-like app, go to Uber. Get in, get a job. Understand the inner workings. Talk to people.
Sometimes you just have to understand that the barriers of entry to get into things are what you have to gain an understanding of. But if you don't make yourself visible, if you don't ask questions, that's the number one thing. You have to ask questions. If you're not asking questions, nobody knows what you don't know. Nobody knows what to give you or what direction to send you in. And you have to understand the reason why it's imperative that you gain a mentor at some point in time in your life is because nobody is going to teach you how to take food out of their mouth and money out of their pocket.
Yeah, that's first and foremost.
So if you think that there's a cheap way to get in, garbage in, garbage out. If you think that there's a cheap way to get in, you will be sadly mistaken. There is no cheap way. There is no easy road. There is no easy button to get in. You have to understand that you come to me and you say, hey, Mike, how do I get where you are? First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to assess, who are you? What are your qualities? What are your attributes? So if I know you to be a screw up, I'm going to tell you, hey, you're going to have to reshape your whole image, because my name will not be associated with somebody with your image. I'm not going to go to bat for you because it's going to make me look bad. So before you even start asking questions, some things you already know. I need to clean up my attendance. I need to clean up my image, how I'm dressing, how I present myself, the vulgarity that I use, whatever it is that I'm doing. I have to know that in order for me to get to that next level, there's some things that I'm going to have to clean up on my own. Then
Yeah,
once
you
I
get
start,
out of that mindset. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say you got to get out of that mindset of that whole I don't care what people think of me and they don't mean nothing to me and all this and that. Like we have to get to a point where we start operating like adults, okay? You have to be a likable person, period. First and foremost, attitude adjustment, wake up call, whatever you want to call this here, but you have to be a likable person first and foremost before you try to go out and try to get anything, require anything from anybody. You want them to take a liking to you so that they are willing to do the things that you're asking or teach you the things that you want to learn or get you in these doors that you want to get into, and that also ties into your work ethic. You got to be likable and you got to be reliable. Your work ethic has to be on point. So I
And
think
one of the most important
we
things to
start
what
there.
he's saying is the sheer fact that you're only going to get what you put in. I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to help you jump the line. But if I see you helping yourself, I may see you and say, hey, what are your plans? What do you want to do? How far do you want to go? Let me show you some things. Let me take you on a walk around here. Let me show you some things that you might not have thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand why it's so important for you to align yourself with the right people. But you have to also bear in mind that you have to be the right person. It's just like those people in dating that is like they have these huge requirements for what somebody else needs to bring to the table, but they don't. You're 450 pounds, broke, sit at home with a PlayStation all day, but you need a woman that look like Cardi B. It's unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's unrealistic. May it happen? I don't know. Who knows? But the likelihood in my world that I live in, my worldview, that those things don't just happen. Same thing with somebody who's you have no skills, no training, can't do anything other than look good, but then you expect a millionaire to just come and flop in your lap. It doesn't happen like that all the time. The likelihood, we deal with averages. There's no absolutes, but the averages, the average chance of that happening is a lot less likely than it to be open season on guys just pouring their wallets out just because you look a certain way. It's just not realistic in my worldview. So when you apply that to this, you have to understand that you have to match what you're asking for. You have to come in the door already looking like you're ready to go to the next level. But you don't know what's ready looks like until you get the barrier of entry understood. So if I want to be seen like somebody who could be the boss, you got to already come dressing like it. You got
Mm-hmm.
to be speaking like it. You have to take charge like it. You have to go above and beyond like it. You have to make yourself visible in order to get seen. And if you're not willing to make yourself visible to get seen, well, guess what? You can't get mad when people pass you up. Just
Or
because
just
I
see you
come,
as invisible altogether.
yeah. And the one thing I'll tell anybody is that being a good employee or being somebody that's good, you show up on time, you do everything that you're supposed to do. That's the bare minimum of your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't get rewarded for doing what you're supposed to. That's what you signed up for. To show up every day. It ain't just about you feeling like, oh, you did me a favor because you showed up. No. You did your job. That's what you were hired to do. To adhere to attendance policy, to follow the rules and instructions, to do XYZ. That's what you were hired to do. You don't get a reward for the bare minimum. If you're not willing to up the ante and say, okay, this is what's required, but this is what I'm going to come in here and I'm going to give. And this is going to be the consistency. And even if I don't get what I want today, tomorrow I'm going to keep coming in here with the same attitude so that when it's my turn, you know that I'm always ready. What's that saying? That when you ready, you don't have to get ready. When you stay ready, you
Uh,
don't have to get ready.
yeah, something like that. But that's just it right there. So you got to have that same attitude every day. And I think what happens is individuals lose that drive because they to them it's not happening fast enough. It's not happening at the speed, or it's not happening when I want it to happen, or I definitely put in a whole lot more work than this individual, or I brought in a lot more money than this individual. Why did I get passed up on opportunity? And then all the morale drops, the hustle drop and everything. And you can't think that way. You can't think that way. You can't move that way. You are always supposed to give your 110% in anything and everything that you do, especially when you were the one that filled out the application. You were the one that accepted the interview, and you were the one that accepted the offer to work. You accepted taking on following their policies and procedures and their bylaws within that organization. You chose to do all that.
So let me
So,
ask you, brief caveat. So let me
uh-huh.
ask you this, because this is one thing I think that would be real insightful, and especially somebody who has done all of the above, went out and have earned the pain. For when you are feeling defeated, when you get passed up, when you're feeling like how do you stay motivated through that? What advice would you give to anybody that when you feel like you're not getting your just due, or you're not getting what it is that you deserve to get at a certain point in time, how do you keep yourself motivated for the larger picture down the road?
So what I have done, this not necessarily advice or tips, but this is what I have done. Is I went to my higher ups and, hey, are you available for an evaluation? To kind of touch base with me to see where I'm at, what I need to work on, what are my trouble areas, and da 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 da. That's step one to me, is find out what was the reason that you actually got passed up on without asking why did you get passed up on. Find out what trouble areas you need to work on. Well, this person attending was a little bit better than yours, and they understood this and this a little bit better than you. So maybe if you start taking the time to start focusing a little bit more in this area, and start understanding how to utilize and read these reports better, and blase, enter whatever here, you have to start preparing yourself and putting yourself in a position to where not only do they know that you want it, that they have to know that you want it, then they have to see you putting forth the effort that you are going after it. And you have to put yourself in position to where when the time does come, they have no choice but to pick you, because of the effort, because of the time, because of the training that you've undergone, that you put your own self in, wanting to learn how to do different things. And I did that.
That's
And it
interesting.
worked out for me. I ended up being district manager for like the Midwest for this said company.
Said company.
For the said company. I'm not gonna say names, but you know,
You know, and
it's all up to you, man.
and I do feel a lot of what you just said. I look at my situations, I look at a lot of where I've been and what I've done and what it has earned me, or it has not earned me rather. And I ask myself, okay, what could you have done to be more competitive?
Hmm.
But most importantly, just like I gave with the Lockheed Martin example, I go ask for the decision making people. Like, there's positions that I'm looking at right now as far as, like, raising my income and giving myself a little bit better of a situation. For the people who were in charge of making the selection for who gets interviewed for those positions, there's a selecting official and a committee official. The committee official determines if you make it to the interview process, and the selecting official is the person who finds out if you're going to get the job or not. When the committee official, I just apply anyway. I don't care if I'm unqualified. I don't care. I apply anyway. because I want to be there. So when the person's name pops up in that email for who is what, I'm going to send the email to that person right away as soon as I get that rejection email and say, hey, thank you for taking your time to review me for or consider me for the position. I'd like to know from your own words, on behalf of the committee who was reviewing my application, what did I need to do or what did I need to input to show you guys that I'm a more valued candidate? I'm going to ask the people who make it. I'm not going to sit here disgruntled and keep sending the same trash resume out. I'm going to ask you, what did you see? And I'm going to polish it up according to your suggestions, and I'm going to throw it back out there with the next opportunity. And if it gets rejected, what did the other guys have that I didn't have? Okay, well, was it just that my format wasn't good? Did I not have enough meat on the bones? Or was it just that everybody else was better than me? I need to understand how to get my opportunity. So if you say touch this up, touch this up. Throw in some numbers here. I need to see some percentages. Boom. Take this out, add numbers. Take this, add certifications. Take this, add this. So eventually, I will have a solid product. And once that product is solid, that's when my opportunity is going to come.
It's almost like I was watching this cooking show. I can't remember the name of it, but the judges very particular in the way that they like their food prepared. I want it medium well, da 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 da. Okay. The judges were literally telling them how they like their food. Okay. I understand that, you know, a lot of chefs are prideful. They're proud of their food. They went around the world and all this, and they learn how to cook this way and that way, and all my heritage and culture and yeah, whatever. Fantastic. Okay. The judge said, I like my food like this. Okay. You need to your point with the resume, listen to first find out what you did wrong and pay close attention to what they're telling you as to how to make your improvements so that when you present your next plate, they're going to pick you. When you present your next resume, they're going to pick you because you formulated your resume or you formulated your plate based off exactly how the person that is judging said how they like it. It's that simple. I get that you know a lot of us we want to do it our way, you know, it's my way or the highway and all this and that, and that's fantastic. But how far are you going to get doing it that way?
Exactly. I mean,
The judge said, "I want my steak medium well." You give them a medium well steak. Period. Don't care if you like well done.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to get an opportunity. So because I'm trying to get an opportunity, I have to understand that the barrier of entry is at the recommendation of the individual who's providing you the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get what's for you, you have to understand that there are ways that you go. You want to start a business in a state, there might be a business license that's required. It might not be a business license required. There might be a certain type of insurance that's needed. There may be a certain type of certification that's needed, sanitation license or food service or whatever the situation may be, depending on the industry. You have to bear in mind that in order for you to get whatever you're going to get, you have to follow the rules of what those barriers of entry are. You can't always do things the undercut way. I can't always do, like, yeah, I can do it my way, but get in the door first. Get in the door first. The best way to show people what you know, and that's why somebody said, and I thought this was an interesting concept, it's like you have to know how to follow in order to know how to lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really understand that because, you know, my hard-headedness, it kind of gets the best of me at times. But when I really took time to consider what was being said in that statement, that you have to be a good follower to be a good leader, I'm not doing the work. You are.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm leading you, I'm giving you directions to something. Well, if I want to buck the system and do it my way, And I think that that's going to get me where I want to go. Then what happens when you're in the leadership capacity this time and now they want to buck the system and say, well, you did it? Even more so than that, you have to understand both mindsets and both ideologies to understand that there's a reason you're telling me what you're telling me. There's a reason you're saying what you're saying. There's a reason why. Regardless of what your reasoning is, if I'm coming to you, since the example, the cooking show, if I'm coming to the cooking show to get judged on my work, they tell me what to do, and my job is to deliver. That's how you get to the win.
Mm-hmm.
You came to them for an opportunity. If I go to a school and they say that, hey, in order for you to get through this graduate program, you have to have a B or better, you don't get C's. And then you don't mouth off when you get the C's and say, man, well, I'm doing the best that I can. No, they say B's or A's, no exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
The barriers of entry are this. If they say for you to get into this graduate program, you have to have a 3.0 or higher, you have to have extracurricular activities, you have to have this, this, and this. If you don't have it, you don't get in.
Period. That's it.
So you do the work to get yourself prepared for what's to come. Stop trying to find a way to circumvent the system. Does it work sometimes? Sure. Of course it does. But why? Why would you put yourself in those positions to always be trying to buck the system all the time? What do you really gain from it?
There's this statement. I don't know where it came from, but it's like a little small slick statement of you. He chose to do life on hard mode or something along the lines of that. Why are you choosing to do it the hard way? Why are you choosing to go the long way when you could just simply ask questions and they're going to tell you exactly what it is you need? And if you don't get what you need, find somebody else that's going to tell you what you need to do to help you try to get to where you're trying to go. But why are you trying to buck against everybody?
You know that that boss mentality, that pseudo boss mentality, has been something I think that's plagued a lot of people. And I want to say that it's a very American mindset that people don't believe in working together. I want to be the head honcho. I want to be the boss. I want to be the chief. I want to be the one that I gave the opportunities. I want the glory. I want my name to go down in record books. I want, just like you have the Rockefeller Center, just like you have the Daily Center, just like you have the Sears Tower or Willis Tower, whatever have you. I want my name to be up there. And my thing is, like most things, Carnegie Hall. I understand that. I do. I understand that desire to get your name in the record books. I understand the desire of wanting to build it from scratch and wanting to be able to say I did it my way. I do believe, however, that there's a time and a place for that when it's time and place for it. I'm not opposed to anybody starting from scratch, doing something from scratch. What I am, however, opposed to is doing things deliberately stupid just to say that I did it the hard way. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not in this for accolades. I'm in this for the win because I understand that time is the most valuable thing that I have.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I mean, that we say it time and time again. There's somebody that has came before you. There's whatever it is you're trying to do, unless it is just an absolute, totally brand new, unique concept, has not been presented. Chances are what you're trying to do, it's already been done, and it's probably been done by multiple other successful companies that's making millions in that industry. There's lots of people that you can talk to help you instead of playing on hardcore mode.
And and it doesn't have to be that hard. I think that a lot of things don't have to be as hard as we make them. So, just as a brief recap of what we discussed, what are you willing to do to get where you need to go? Are you willing to acquire a mentor, seek out a mentor? Are you willing to ask the necessary questions in order to find out what your barriers of entry are and how to get through those barriers of entry? Are you willing to go through the painstake of having to keep yourself motivated? And there's one other part that I want to add to that before we close out for the day. It kind of ties in with the motivation. It's about the heartbreaks that come along the way. I have personally experienced not friendships break apart, but I've personally experienced like friendship dissolutions to where people that I would talk to every single day, I haven't spoken to in 4 or 5 years. That once I got honed in into a specific direction, once I finally shifted gears, when I moved from Chicago and came to Florida, when I made certain decisions, I don't know if some people took it personal. I don't know how people felt about the situation, but what I do know is that the result is that the conversation started getting hella short. And it was frustrating because I left, but I was also making 99% of the phone calls. I'm making 99% of the contact attempts. And when I do hear from you, I could hear from you today. Not you specifically, but I could hear from an individual today. You call me, try to catch me up on all the latest gossip and nonsense. I can call you tomorrow right after that. No response. Day go by, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. No response. Shoot a text message, hey, give me a call when you get a free moment. Day 5, day 6, day 7, week 1, week 2.
Man, did something happen to my guy? What's going on? It's crazy.
But that's again, it's like that's kind of the fate that comes along with when you start shifting gears and moving into a different direction. You start investing more time into your family. You start investing more time into the affairs that are going on within your home. Start investing more time into building your business or getting educated and trying to provide a better material quality of life for your family or for yourself. You have to understand that some things will fall by the wayside. And you have to accept that you will lose friends. That old saying that the one who you thought would never do you like that will be the first person to do you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your success is a marker of other people's shortcomings.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily jealousy, but it's a moment that leads to self-reflection. And that self-reflection puts you in a place to where you don't know where the source of the resentment is coming from. You just feel that I'm being outgrown. There are people who outgrew me. And likewise, there are people who I outgrew. But this is part of it. And I know you've experienced it. Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's something that you just have to be okay with. You have to be okay with that. You have to accept that.
You can go back,
especially when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to put yourself in a better position, when you're trying to be successful. Like you said, conversations get short. Hey man, great. I'm glad you still alive. You know what I'm saying? Glad you're doing well. You ain't hurt. You ain't blah blah blah. All right, cool, man. I'll holler at you. Because the conversation I'm not gaining anything out of the conversation. Just a hindrance. Like you said, so somebody call, hour go by, 2 hours go by when I should have been focused on studying for my final exam for my degree, So you gotta pick and choose. But what are you willing to do? Are you willing to put in a whole hell of a lot more hours than the next person? Are you willing to read a whole hell of a lot more books than the next person?
Are you willing to sacrifice more sleep than the next person?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
When
I
the
think
world is
that
asleep, when the world is asleep, you know what I'm saying, the wee hours of the night, are you still up researching, working, building, documenting? Are you still pushing?
and that's really what it all boils down to is that there's some things in this life that you have to always bear in mind. And one of those things is that whatever it is that you want to do in this life is going to require a sacrifice. You want to be a doctor, well, there's a certain sacrifice. You want to be an engineer, there's a certain sacrifice. There's a sacrifice on the time that you have to spend studying. First and foremost, there's a time period that you have to spend on just getting qualified to get into the program. So start there. For people who are into coding, there's time that you have to literally spend on simulators, working on building codes, testing code, verifying what's going to work, what's not going to work. There's time that you have to invest into IT. You don't just take classes and boom, you're done. You actually have to take time and invest into doing certain things. Building a website from scratch, it requires time.
Mm-hmm.
Learning artificial intelligence, it takes time. All of these things, they require an investment. And if you're not willing to put in the time or put in the pain for that investment, you won't have anything. So we have to understand that you will have to forego certain luxuries to sacrifice that time for the greater good. But if you don't have a clear direction of where you're trying to go, then you don't understand what your barriers of entry are. So you don't understand what's going to be required for you to do just to get in that situation. Then the work that's around it. You're not surrounding yourself with people who are working on the same goal as you. So you're not seeing, oh, I really need to be dedicated to this. Like these are my future competitors.
Mm-hmm.
You sitting at Starbucks and you watching everybody getting busy, and you over here on YouTube watching shorts and all types of stuff, and watching videos on Instagram and stuff. But everybody else, they coding. Every second that you not putting in is every second that somebody else is outworking you.
Yeah, I think that once an individual discovers, you know, not only the why, but discovers the importance of doing what it is that they do, that's what's going to help them get the ball rolling and moving. They need to understand the importance of what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Agreed.
And that's just it.
And speaking of understanding the importance of what you're doing and why you're doing, that brings us to the final segment of this show. Do you understand the importance of subscribing to this show? I know, right? I just went into pastor mode and stuff like that.
That was great. That was great.
Do you understand the importance
That was
of subscribing
extraordinary.
to this content? We're putting out content, having conversations on a very, very, very intellectual level because we want people to think. We've been doing the thinking, and we've also been doing the doing. And with doing the thinking and doing the doing and watching the process as it pans out, we understand what is required. And everything that we learn in real time and from our past, we share and we pass these things on. I can't tell anybody what to do, but I can tell you that if you want to get someplace, you got to find somebody who can A, help you get there, B, mold yourself out to something solid, C, lock in, get focused, stay consistent, and stay on the beaten path, and D, keep your mouth shut until the train has left the station. I cannot say that enough. Stop talking. Stop running your mouth about what you got going on. Shut up. Shut up. That is probably the most valuable tool that you have is your ability to not say nothing. Be quiet. That's my
What I
opinion.
want to add to that, what I want to add to that is, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to make an accountability list? Email that list over to somebody that you know was going to hold you accountable for that list to make sure that you stay on the path and that you do what you're supposed to do. Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely.
To think about.
Oh, hey, I'm so glad you said that. An accountability circle is such a vital piece of your life. People that's going to follow up with you. You don't use them as a crutch because you are inconsistent. But somebody that's going to follow up with you, ask you where it is that you are. This is one of those things that mentorship is so important for, because a good mentor is going to ask you where you are in your process. And they're going to determine whether they're going to draw closer or fall back from you based off what you show them.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot use people as a crutch, but you have to learn how to utilize people who are doing things, who are where you want to be, and keep them and what your goals are in mind to hold yourself accountable. But also, hey, Midas, can you set your alarm or set something in your calendar? I need you to get back with me on such and such date about this thing that I need to get done. I need to have it done by this date. So can you follow up with me when your alarm go off and just say, hey, where you at with that? Sometimes I need to get realigned and readjusted. Hey man, where are you with this? Oh, damn. Thank you for saying something. Let me get right on it. Little smack on the booty. Okay, cool. We all get distracted. Life happens. We got kids, we got families, we got whatever situation that we have. We all got something going on. None of us are exempt from the human experience. But you have a good accountability circle around you. You let them know specifically what you need, and you execute on that when they give you that reminder, you'll be solid in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
What
right,
are
so
you
go
willing
ahead.
to do? Are you coachable? I mean, it's a lot that we can add on, man, but
Right now, the most important thing for you to add on is that little subscribe button right there. Subscribe to the channel. You put your phone, you see how it just shimmered right there? You take your phone, you put it up there to the screen, you hit that, it's going to take you right to the channel. You click it, you hit the bell. Make sure you hit the notification so you know whenever we live or whenever we drop brand new content. You also hit the subscribe. We want to see this channel at 100,000 before the end of the night.
Yes, make it happen. And
Tell
while you at it, make sure that you go check out our TikToks, our Instagrams, and everything else. It's all there.
All right, guys. So that's our time. Thank you for tuning in with us and checking in with us. We truly appreciate all of the love, support, and everything else that we get from this show. Again, I am Phil Jones, Mike Jones, how you guys know me personally and professionally, and this handsome, incredibly over the top individual that's a little furry today, but he is all 100% the quicker picker up a brawny man. You tell him who you are.
I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
And without saying, we out here. Peace.